Now, we've been getting a lot of questions.
No, we haven't. That's not true.
About how long will a Lemons car last? How many races are you going to get out of your heap? Well, it used to be that you'd build a car and it would last for, 2 minutes. Now, pretty standard for you could get 5, 10, 20 races out of these things. Well, here are the 6 cars that have gone far beyond that and are the most reused Lemons cars in history.
Yeah, now, Nick, how sure are we that this is the correct list?
Not very.
Number 6, Vermont Burt 1, 43 races on this car. All right, not surprising that a 2 Series Volvo is on this list. I mean, they were built and designed like bricks. They just run forever. A little more surprising, this is the Bertoni-bodied 262C. I'm pretty sure Bertoni just said,
I'm going to lower the roof about to 6 inches. Give me the check and go yourselves. This is offensive to a Mario.
Now, you may be thinking, how does this Bertoni Volvo complete 40-plus Lemons races with a PRV V6, a known terrible engine? Well, the answer is simple. They got rid of that boat anchor and swapped in the venerable 8-valve turbo red block 4-cylinder.
Now this thing, as I said, it's done 43 races, which is amazing. In those 43 races, this thing, first of all, it's raced in every region as team members have moved around. It has won overall in its 19th race at Carolina Motorsports Park. Total victory for a Volvo 2 Series. Awesome. In New Hampshire last year, it was 10th overall. This thing is fast, it's reliable, it never dies, it's a Volvo, and it is Italian designed. What's not to love?
Number 5, the Black Flags with their Toyota Celica Supra with 45 races completed. Now, when you think Toyota Supra engines, one thing pops to mind. The 5MGE. Now, this was the version that was fitted to the Celica Supra that was the second generation car. Whatever. All of that doesn't matter. It's a straight 6. It's a Toyota. It's pretty durable.
Look, nobody cares. This is essentially a stretched 4. Nobody cares. What we do care about, when this thing first came up, it was equipped with a nitrous system. Not for the engine, for the drivers. We could not let that actually be used. Great thinking, though. More importantly, that spoke to what kind of team these guys were going to be. They were not terribly interested in making fast laps or even laps at all. They were much more interested in their wackadoo Mad Max theme that they started out with. They were interested in having fun in the paddock. They were interested in helping other people. They ran in Class C forever. They might still be in Class C, frankly. They probably deserve to be. And yet this thing just chugs along and chugs along. One of the drivers has since married one of the other drivers and had babies. It's the greatest story ever. 45 races in, the paint's changed, some of the people have changed, but it's still the same awesome deal. At number 4 with 49 races is the Save the Tatas Camaro, which goes all the way back to our first and thus far only adventure at Nelson's Ledges in Ohio. This car in 2009 showed up, and it was exactly what you'd think. It was a third-generation Camaro filled with guys who are the kind of guys who want to race a third-generation Camaro.
And like Camaro people, they exploded, 37 Chevy small block V8s before finally swapping in a Chevy Truck LS. They also managed to kill several of those, but along the way, they became the first ever Camaro to win a Lemons race. That was a decade ago. And since then, they've won overall 7 different times. Now, they got to the point where we were like, you guys are becoming kind of real racery. Why don't you rebody that Camaro with something like a Bustleback Seville? Now, when we issue a challenge like that to a successful race-winning team, it's often the case that they'll jump ship to one of those other douchebag series. But not these guys. They said, all right, we can do that, and showed up with this totally awesome 2-door Bustleback Camaro chassis Cadillac Seville. It looks incredible. It's a theme of its own, and we love it.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate what Nick just said, because, when you go to the racery racer guys and you give them some ridiculous challenge like this, you kind of do hope they just go away to a douchebag series. But sometimes they don't, and when they don't, the result is so good.
Number 3, the Tired Iron Racing Mazda Miata with 50 races. This car goes all the way back to 2010 when Mike Mercado and his team of very competent racers have put this NA Miata onto the track 3 to 5 times a year, every year. It still has all of its original sheet metal, has finished in the top 10 in almost half of the races that it's entered, and it's generally beaten the hell out of faster cars with bigger fuel tanks and more power and more grip, just simply by staying out of trouble.
I just gotta add, in addition to this, they actually also, for a while, they ran a second car. They had a CRX, and what was notable about their CRX, they added a separate sous vide system under the hood, and they had a whole separate gauge cluster, so you had engine temperature, sous vide temperature. The steaks were entirely delicious. At number 2, Dirty Duck Racing. 51 races on their first generation GTI. Bearing in mind, these cars, they were made out of tinfoil and duct tape. Terrible cars, and they have kept this thing together. On top of this, these are like the nicest, best people you're ever going to meet. They have lovely dogs. Their lovely spouses show up and support them. Wonderful people. We wish them all the best.
Now, usually that's our way of saying we love these nice people and they're hella bad at racing. Well, that's not true in this case. They've racked up 3 Class B wins, 10 finishes in the top 10, mostly in the very competitive West Coast region. They've also earned an index of effluency for their amazing longevity. I mean, they've done 50 races in an old-ass Volkswagen. It's incredible. And the number 1 most raced Lemons car is the eyesore Racing Miata with 56 races under its belt. Now, this car is one of the original Frankenstein Lemons cars, which means back in 2009, they took the front half of a Miata and the back half of another Miata and welded them together to make their Lemons car. Now, this team's got a mix of people. It's got engineering PhDs, it's got a tractor-driving hermit from the Santa Cruz Mountains, and it's got the only bunch of automotive journalists to actually complete one lap of any track without totally embarrassing themselves. And as a result, they've scored 12 overall victories and have really written the book on how to successfully engineer a Lemons car.
How to successfully engineer a Lemons car on budget. I mean, this is a really legit low-budget car, unlike some of the other cars we've seen around here. The turbo is out of like a Mexican market Dodge Stratus. I think it was literally $10. The car, as Nick said, it's 2 totaled cars cut down the middle and welded back together. They had active aero that was surfboard foam. They really have worked the problem. And doing all that, they have also managed to beat the living snot out of a whole lot of Miatas that people have spent a whole lot more money on. Oh, and did we mention the themes?
All right, those are the 6 most raced Lemons cars in history. You know, except for the ones that we totally screwed up and forgot about. Tell us about those and we'll do another video.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?